This right here is a broken graphics card, and in today's video I'm going to try and get it running and playing some games. This is the Zotac Amp Extreme GTX 980 Ti, so it's quite an old graphics card at this point, but apparently it's intermittently crashing in games. But to my knowledge, according to the seller, it will install drivers and it will actually run a 3D load for it could be for hours, it could be for minutes. So it's time to get this put into the testing PC behind me to see if the seller's actually been truthful about it and to see what the issue is. Come on. Right, now the GPU's in there, let's see if it works. And it should display out relatively quickly, so you just need to wait for a bit. And also, whenever you deal with any broken hardware, I recommend trying to replicate the results first, just to see if the issue is actually occurring. And there we go, good news, we're into Windows, so this GPU is certainly displaying out. And this is always a good sign. NVIDIA control panel is installed, which means the drivers are installed as well. So to test the stability of this graphics card, I like to use Unigine Heaven Benchmark. It's a looping benchmark and it's really easy just to see the sort of general stability of a graphics card. Also in the background, I'm going to run HW Monitor as well, as this will display the temperatures and also the hotspot of the graphics card, but the hotspot sensor does vary depending on which graphics card you got. Not all have them, but this 980 Ti does. So it turns out this graphics card is actually okay. I've had it running for about half an hour now and it's had no problems at all, and the clock speeds are fine, and the hotspot, it peaked around 89 degrees, which is a bit toasty, but then again, that's the hotspot temperature, not the GPU core itself. I believe the GPU core's around the mid 70s, so yeah, I don't think anything's wrong with this graphics card. Maybe I could try some different games, but before I'm going to do that, I'm going to give it a clean anyway. When in doubt about GPU crashing, and you kind of know how to clean a graphics card, it's always worth giving it a bit of a clean. Maybe the thermal paste is a bit old and it's dried out now, which would explain why the fans are spinning at such a high RPM, because it's not exactly quiet, let's be honest, as you can probably hear right now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get this GPU cleaned, and then I'm going to try and run Unigine Heaven again and see what the temperatures are going to be. I'll also put a before and after with the temperatures as well to see if there's any difference. After that, I will try running some other games as well to see how stable this graphics card truly is. So this isn't the best thermal paste I've ever seen, and actually it's the opposite to what I said it was. It's actually more moist than dry, and I've actually seen this issue before with an RTX 3080, which used to be my main GPU actually, so yeah, that could be why it could have been crashing for the previous owner, and it can be why it's running slightly hot. So let's get it changed. I've got the 980 Ti fully cleaned up and it's currently running Unigine Heaven again, so in about half an hour's time I'll report back with what the temperatures are saying, but I'd wager them going to be at least slightly better. As for the previous thermal paste, it wasn't in the best condition. It was really moist for some reason. I'm not sure as to how it got like that, because usually when thermal paste gets old, it dries out and goes all cracked. It looks like a dried up lake bed, but it was the exact opposite in this graphics card for some reason. I have seen this issue before on a couple of graphics cards, most notably my RTX 3080, which I did fix because that was crashing as well, but that GPU is running totally fine. And touching wood, I think this 980 Ti is totally fine now. Also, I'm going to try some other games other than Unity Heaven just to fully see what the stability on this card is like, but fingers crossed, it's looking good. So it turns out this 980 Ti is working totally fine. It's been running on the test bench for the past half an hour now on Unity Heaven, and it showed no signs of any issues at all. And in fact, after the thermal paste change, it's actually running better. The core temperature went down by 11 degrees C, and the same for the hotspot as well. And this is while the fans are running quieter as well. They're running at about 320 RPM less, so it's running quieter. And it's running cooler. What's not to like about that? So this leads me to believe that the seller who had this tried to do a repaste, but they didn't do it properly, because I noticed it had brand new thermal pads on it, mostly. They did look quite new, but the thermal paste job wasn't the best I've ever seen, because there was a bit of the GPU that wasn't fully covered, which is never a good thing, because the whole of that silicon produces heat, so you want all of it covered by thermal paste. And this is why whenever I change the thermal paste on a graphics card, I like to manually cover it with like a spatula or something like that, just so I have peace of mind that all of the GPU die is covered, and I recommend you do the same as well. So I was kind of hoping for a bit more of an interesting video than that, but the graphics card was working just fine out of the box. For the most part, it was running a bit hot, but I fixed that. So can you say that I've repaired it? No. Can you say that I've restored it? Yes, because it's running like it was brand new. I do have some further tests to do on this graphics card, like running actual games, but that will be coming in a benchmarking video where I'll be taking a look at the GTX 980 Ti in 2024. I did take a look at it last year, but that was a reference model, and to be honest, the reference models for the 980 Ti's weren't particularly the best performers. So we're going to see how something high-end like the Zotac Amp Extreme is going to get on. So if you want to see any more GPU testing videos, there will be one up there and one down there. And have a good rest of your day.